You know, it's crazy, right? Like, the second biggest film industry in the whole world, it's not Hollywood. Nope, it's actually Nollywood. Nigeria's own film scene. They churn out more movies than anyone, even more than the American giants. And I gotta be honest, before I really dug into this, Nollywood wasn't exactly on my radar. But let me tell you, once you start looking into it, well, it's fascinating. And that's exactly why we're here today, folks. Welcome to the deep dive. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
And today's topic is, oh, it's a juicy one.
Yeah?
Nollywood, it's a powerhouse.
Mm.
This Nigerian film industry is just bursting with energy.
Yeah.
And the amount they produce is mind-blowing. I mean, they're shaping how stories are told globally.
No joke. And in this deep dive, we're setting out on a mission to uncover the whole Nollywood story. We're talking origins, the secret sauce that makes it unique, and of course, some of those headline-grabbing successes. Plus, the real reasons why Nollywood has become so influential. And get this, they don't shy away from anything. Family drama. Oh, yeah. Spiritual stuff. You bet. By the time we're done here, you'll be a Nollywood expert. Guaranteed. And I'm willing to bet we'll stumble across some pretty surprising stuff along the way. What do you say?
I'm in. We want you guys, the listeners, to really grasp the impact of Nollywood, to understand why it's such a big deal in the world of cinema.
All right, so rewind time. Back before Nollywood became, Nollywood, what was going on over there? Did this whole thing just appear out of thin air?
Not quite. Back in the 60s and 70s, Nigeria actually had a pretty happening TV scene. I mean, filmmakers were already busy creating all sorts of dramas and comedies specifically for TV audiences. And here's a cool tidbit. A lot of this early stuff was actually in local Nigerian languages. I mean, talk about keeping things authentic. And that focus on language, on cultural identity, it's been a part of Nollywood from the very beginning.
So the seeds were there, the storytelling spirit was alive and well, but what was the turning point? When did this whole TV scene morph into the massive film industry we know today?
Well, the early 90s, that was a pivotal time. Nigeria was going through some tough economic times, and that had a ripple effect on, well, everything. Cinemas started shutting down. Foreign films were crazy expensive to import, and suddenly there was this gap, this void for local content.
Classic case of necessity being the mother of invention, huh? So who stepped up to fill that void? Who were the pioneers, the trailblazers of early Nollywood?
That's where Kenneth Inabu comes in. This businessman, he saw an opportunity. And in 1992, he produced this film called Living in Bondage. But here's the thing. It wasn't meant for theaters, not in the traditional sense. It was a direct-to-VHS release.
Whoa, direct to VHS. That's like a blast from the past. But tell me more about Living in Bondage. Why was it such a big deal? What made it stand out?
It's the impact it has, especially given how it started. I mean, we're talking a tiny budget, something like $12,000, but it resonated big time. Living in Bondage sold over 750,000 copies. And that, my friend, is widely considered the birth of Nollywood as we know it.
$12,000 and nearly 1 million copies sold.
Wow. Okay, but why VHS? What was it about that format that really changed the game?
Think about the context. The technology landscape in Nigeria at the time. VHS tapes, they were affordable. That's key. And more importantly, they were accessible to way more people than traditional cinemas. You could watch these films at home. It completely sidestepped the need for, a huge, expensive network of theaters. It put the power of film directly into the hands of the audience. Democratized filmmaking and film consumption all at once. That's really insightful. And I've heard stories about the production speed in those early days, like incredibly fast turnarounds.
Oh, yeah, that was a necessity. They had this incredibly streamlined system. Shoot a whole film in a week, sometimes less. Totally normal. Editing would be wrapped up in just a few days, and bam, straight to distribution, mostly through markets and stuff. And that speed, that was crucial. It wasn't just about keeping up with demand. It actually created a whole filmmaking culture that was adaptable, resourceful, and totally different from the slower, more traditional models.
So that direct-to-VHS model, the need for speed, that was the foundation. But when did Nollywood really explode onto the global scene? What happened in the 2000s?
The 2000s, well, that's when production went into hyperdrive. Think over 2,000 films per year. That volume of output, it was a statement. Nollywood had arrived, and they meant business.
2,000 films. That's wild. Okay, take me a picture here. Someone sits down to watch a classic Nollywood film from that era. What's it like? What are the hallmarks, the themes, the things that scream, this is Nollywood?
You'll notice a few things right away. The storytelling, it's bold, it's in your face. And the characters.
Yeah.
Larger than life, that's for sure. You'll get a big dose of melodrama, often mixed with some good old-fashioned humor, and there's almost always a moral to the story. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it hits you over the head. And the themes, well, They tap into things that resonate. Love, relationships, that's a given. But also the supernatural. We're talking juju here. And for those who don't know, juju is like, well, traditional magic, spirits, curses, that kind of thing. It adds this whole other layer of drama to the stories. And then you've got corruption, family feuds, all that good stuff. And it's all wrapped up in this unapologetically Nigerian package. The language, the references, the whole style of storytelling, it's all distinctly Nigerian.
And all this, often done on shoestring budgets, right? Like, what, $10,000 sometimes. But somehow the creativity still shines through. It's almost like limitations bred innovation.
You got it. Those limitations, they forced people to be resourceful, to focus on storytelling, on performance. They had to make the most of what they had. And, that's part of why the stars of Nollywood became so iconic.
Ah, yes, the legends. We can't talk about Nollywood without mentioning some of those names.
Absolutely. Genevieve Naji, Ramsey Noah, Mercy Johnson. These are household names in Nigeria, and their reach extends far beyond. Across Africa, within the diaspora, they're huge. They've starred in countless films, and their work has become a part of the culture.
And it's not just about the actors, is it? There have been some really influential directors who have shaped Nollywood's identity.
Oh, for sure. Like Tunde Kalani. He's known for adapting Nigerian literature, for really delving into Yoruba culture. And then you have someone like Kunle Afolayan, a bit more contemporary, and he does this amazing job of blending traditional Nigerian aesthetics with modern international filmmaking styles. These directors and many others, they've pushed boundaries, experimented with narratives, and really enriched the Nollywood landscape.
Okay, so we've covered the origins, the characteristics, the vibes. Now let's talk about some specific films, those breakout successes that really put Nollywood on the map. We talked about Living in Bondage as that early game changer, but what came next? What other films really showed the world that Nollywood was a force to be reckoned with?
Well, Living in Bondage laid the groundwork, no doubt. But let's fast forward a bit. A film that really showcased Nollywood's crossover appeal is The Wedding Party. Came out in 2016. Directed by Kemi Detetiba.
Ah, The Wedding Party. That was a big one, wasn't it?
Huge. It's this romantic comedy set around a big fancy wedding in Lagos, full of relatable humor, dives into family dynamics. It's a really fun watch. And get this, it grossed over $1 million at the box office. For Nollywood, that was a landmark moment. It proved that they could draw big crowds, even in theaters. It was a sign that the industry was maturing, finding new ways to connect with audiences.
That's awesome. A real sign of growth, of reaching new heights. And what about Lionheart? I feel like that was another really big step onto the international stage for Nollywood.
It absolutely was Lionheart. Directed by and starring the one and only Genevieve Naji. This was back in 2018, and it was Nigeria's first Netflix original film.
Wow, that must have been a huge moment, a sign of real recognition on a global level.
No doubt. It's a heartwarming story about this woman who takes over her father's transport business in what's usually a male-dominated field. And the fact that Netflix picked it up, well, that was a signal. It meant greater exposure, a wider audience, and more recognition for Nollywood on a whole new level.
And it showcased a different side of Nollywood, right? Moving beyond some of those early, more melodramatic tropes and showing the breadth of stories they could tell.
Exactly. And to drive that point home, let's not forget Olature. Came out in 2019, directed by Kenneth Yang. This one's a much grittier, more serious drama. It tackles human trafficking head-on. It's a powerful example of how Nollywood is using its platform to shine a light on social issues, to start conversations, both within Nigeria and beyond.
So we've got this incredible growth, these success stories. What would you say is the secret sauce, the thing that gives Nollywood its staying power, its appeal, especially for folks who might be new to it all?
There are a few key ingredients. First, there's the speed, the hustle, as they call it in the industry. That rapid production cycle, it keeps the content flowing, keeps things fresh and exciting. And then there's the affordability, especially in those early VHS days. And now with streaming, it's just easier for people to access these films. That's huge in building a fan base.
Makes sense. Accessibility is key.
Yeah.
But it's got to be more than that, right? The content itself, the stories they choose to tell, that plays a role too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The authenticity that's at the heart of it, Nollywood tells African stories through an African lens with African humor, exploring themes that resonate deeply with the audience. It's not trying to be Hollywood, it's carving its own path. And that connection to the culture, to the realities of everyday life in Nigeria and for the diaspora, that's what makes it stick. It's about seeing yourself reflected in the stories on screen.
That's powerful. So Looking ahead, what's next for Nollywood? It feels like it's on the cusp of even bigger things, of truly global domination.
I think the future's incredibly bright. You've got these big streaming platforms, Netflix, Amazon Prime. They're investing more and more in Nollywood. That means greater visibility, chance to reach audiences all over the world who are hungry for diverse content.
Hmm.
And it often translates into bigger budgets, better production quality, which enhances the viewing experience for everyone.
We're already seeing that, aren't we? Like Kunlea Falayans, A Nicola Paw on Netflix, that was visually stunning. A real step up in terms of production.
Exactly. And Nicolapo is a perfect example of what's possible with those bigger budgets and those international collaborations. And it's not just about the art. This investment is having a real economic impact in Nigeria. It's creating jobs, from the crews to the marketing folks, all across the industry.
So it's about more than just art and culture. It's contributing to the economy in a significant way.
Oh, absolutely. Nollywood is estimated to be worth around $3 billion. And it even boosts tourism in Nigeria. But beyond the money, think about the cultural impact. It's shaping how the world sees Africa. It's challenging stereotypes by showing a more diverse, more authentic portrayal of Nigerian life. And that's powerful. It's about cultural exchange, about understanding.
That's a really important point, the ability of film to bridge cultures, to foster understanding. But are there still challenges that Nollywood faces as it continues to grow and evolve?
Of course, there are always challenges. Piracy, that's a big one. It hurts revenue, makes it harder to sustain productions. And securing funding, that's still a hurdle for a lot of independent filmmakers.
Mm.
But if you look at Nollywood's history, it's a story of resilience, of finding creative solutions, of adapting and overcoming obstacles.
From those early VHS days, bypassing traditional cinemas to streaming globally, it's an amazing journey. Nollywood is a testament to, well, to the power of creativity, to the human spirit.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
It shows what happens when people are passionate about telling stories, about sharing their culture, even when the resources are limited.
So to everyone listening, have you checked out any Nollywood films? We'd love to hear from you. What have you watched? What resonated with you? Hit us up. Let's talk.
You know, what we've explored today really highlights the potential of film. It's about accessibility, about reaching vast audiences, about tackling social issues with authenticity and impact. And it makes you think, what other cinematic gems are out there? What other regional movements are waiting to be discovered, each with their own stories of ingenuity and cultural significance?
That's a great point to ponder. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners, thanks for tuning in to the Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.